So NetSuite has provided multiple modules, like where they have organized all their APIs into various modules based on their behavior, right? So we also use the record module, email module, compress module, runtime module, and multiple modules. And these are the list of modules which NetSuite actually provides in order to make use of those APIs in your suite scripts. But what if you have to create your own APIs and then organize those APIs into your own custom module? Does NetSuite allow to create your own custom modules? Yes, NetSuite actually allows you to create your own suite script custom modules. In this video, we will see how to create our own suite script custom modules and make use of those custom modules within our script. So in order to create my own custom module, I'm going to right click on this folder and I'm going to click on create suite script file. And from this create suite script file and in the list of script files, I'm going to choose custom module, or if you're using a WebStorm, it will show as a blank script. So I'm going to use custom module. So I'm going to select it as a custom module. And here it gives me an option to choose any of these modules to be used in the custom module. So I'm going to make use of one module called as a runtime module within my custom module. So I'm going to choose a runtime module. Now I'm going to click OK, and then I'm going to provide some meaningful name for this custom module. So let's say I'm going to name it as custom module. So this is how the basic syntax of your custom module will look like. I have loaded the runtime module within this custom module, and by default you can see the plugin has already provided me a basic custom function like which says foo and another custom function bar. So if you want to create your own custom function, you can remove this and or rename this function name and start writing your own custom functions. So I was supposed to use the record module, so I'm gonna rename this to record module, and here also I'm gonna rename this to record. So I'm gonna remove all this custom functions which has been provided by default from this plugin, and I'm gonna create my own custom functions and then I'm gonna finally return them. So within this custom function, I'm gonna write a function called as add numbers, and this is the function name, which is gonna accept two parameters, which say, let's say number 1 and number 2 are the parameters. And once I receive those values, I'm just gonna sum up those two values and return the output. So this is the function name. So in the return statement, I'm gonna place this key as add numbers and the value also as add numbers. I'm not going to follow the version 2.1 syntax in order to return this. As of now, I'm just going to give a basic JSON structure. So which is like keys add numbers and the value is also the function name, which is add numbers. So now I will try to create another function by making use of this record module. So the function which I'm gonna do is in order to create a phone call record. So there is a record called phone call in NetSuite. So I'm gonna write a function to create a phone call record, which will accept some parameters from the calling function, and it will create a phone call record, and finally it will return the phone call record internal ID. So this is how the function looks like. So the phone call scheduled phone call is the function name, which is gonna accept an object as a parameter, and the phone call record enum values looks like phone call, and the values which I'm going to set is a title and assigned, which means assigned to, and the phone number, and also finally I'm going to save that record, which is a phone call record, and I'm going to finally return the ID of that phone call. If you clearly notice here, I'm using the record.create API in order to create my record, and to set the values we have the set value APIs, and finally we are saving this. So now I'm going to return this schedule phone call function in the return statement. So I'm going to add a comma here, place the key as schedule phone call and the value also as schedule phone call. So in this custom module, so we have basically two functions, one with add numbers and the second one is schedule phone call. So these are the two custom functions which I have created. So now I'm going to upload this to my NetSuite account. So I have successfully uploaded this file to my NetSuite account. Now let's see how to make use of this custom module in your normal script, let's say schedule script or your user event script, something like that. So in order to make use of this custom file, I'm going to create a file called as schedule script. In order to create that, I'm going to right click on my current folder and click on create script file. Here I'm going to choose schedule script. I'm not going to make use of any modules. I'm just going to click OK. And then I'm going to provide some meaningful name for this schedule script. And then I'm going to click OK. So here I have my basic syntax of schedule script. Here you can see by default it returns an execute function, which is execute is an entry point for the schedule script. But in our custom module, we have created our own function, which is like add numbers and schedule phone call. So that is the reason we are returning it in this format. So in the schedule script, it's a version 2.1. So they are following the 2.1 version syntax. So now how I can make use of this custom module inside my schedule script. So in order to do that, you should have a reference of that custom module in your schedule script. Whenever we are trying to use standard modules, we have been using this like kind of n/record, and we are providing some alias name for this module, and we started using script modules here. So before I make use of this custom module, I'm going to remove this module which I'm defined here. The same way I'm going to remove this. Now I'm going to upload this code to my NetSuite account. So now let's go back to NetSuite since the file has been uploaded successfully. So this is the folder structure where I have uploaded all my files. So I created a custom module and now I have uploaded my schedule script file. So this is where I have placed both of my schedule script and my custom module, which is my library file or something like that. So if you notice on top, there is a path, which is like the directory structure starting from suite scripts and then suite script modules and then finally a custom module folder. Within that folder, I have this custom module file and my schedule script file. So I'm going to copy this structure and go back to my Visual Studio Code. So within this define square bracket, I'm going to place this. So I'm going to add double quotes in the beginning and add another double quote in the end of this custom module and replace all this greater than symbol and the space by a forward slash. I'm going to do the same thing for this also. So after this custom module, within this custom module, we have our file. So I'm going to do a forward slash and here I'm going to provide the name of my custom module, which is custom module.js. So this is an absolute path which I have provided for my custom module library file. So I have to provide some alias name to this. So say I'm gonna name it as library 1. So I have referenced my custom module here. Now let's see how to call our custom functions like add numbers and schedule phone call. So I'm gonna go back to my execute function. So I'm calling my first add numbers function. So where I'm calling it by using my alias, which is library1 dot add numbers, and I'm passing two values, which is 3 and 4, and I'm logging those values which I get as a result. So which is output would be, so the output should look like 7. So in the same way, I have to call another function which is schedule phone call, which will accept object as a parameter, and it will create a record called as phone call in NetSuite. So let's go ahead and add that calling function here by passing the necessary values. So these are the object which I'm going to pass. One is phone call title and the phone call owner, which is an internal ID of the employee record and the phone number. And now I'm going to call the schedule phone call function by making use of this alias name library1 dot schedule phone call, and I'm just passing this object. So when the phone call record gets created successfully, it's going to return me the ID, and I'm going to store that in phone call rec ID, and I'm going to finally log that record ID. So this is how my current schedule script looks like. So I'm trying to call add numbers custom function and also schedule phone call for custom function. Now I'm going to upload this code to my NetSuite account. So now I have successfully uploaded it. Now I'm going to just create a script record and a script deployment for the schedule script. You guys would know already how to create a schedule script record and a deployment for schedule script. So in my NetSuite account, I have created a script record for the schedule script, and this is the file name. And you can see this execute function has been checked, which is standard entry point function for the schedule script. And I've also created a deployment on the same name. So this is a script deployment. Now let's go ahead and execute this. So in order to execute, I will just click edit, and then I'm going to click save and execute in order to execute the schedule script and test our custom module. So I'm going to click save and execute. So let's wait for the script to get complete. So it shows the script has been complete. Now let's go to this custom deployment and click on the execution logs to see our output. So if I just scroll down, I can see one of the log which says total is 7 and the phone call record created successfully and the phone call record ID is 1120. So if I just go back to my code, so here I have not even used any runtime module or record module to create my phone call record. All I have done is I just used my custom module, and that custom module has been loading this record module and it creates a record, and finally it returns the phone call record internal ID. In the same way, it also returns the sum up value of the numbers, which is 7. And the two logs which you see is one is total log and the final log is phone call record created successfully. Now let's go back to NetSuite and just have a look at this phone call record. So here my phone call internal ID is 1120. I'm going to copy this internal ID and navigate to activities, scheduling, and then I'm going to click on list of phone calls. So here are my list of phone calls, and the internal ID which I got was 1120. So this is my phone call record which got just created using a custom module. So I'm going to click view on this. So this is the title which I have provided and the phone number, and this has been assigned to an employee called hello world, where I pass the internal ID as in value in my object. So this concludes how to create your own custom module and make use of those custom modules within your standard NetSuite scripts. But what if you want to use some kind of third-party library files, maybe or moment.js, something like that. So let's see how to make use of a third-party library file within your Suite scripts. So in Google, I have searched for moment.js, so which is one of the third-party library file where it actually helps you to manipulate and validate date and time in JavaScript. So I'm going to make use of this third-party library file called as moment.js in my schedule script. So I'm going to just open this or click on this moment.js. So right now we are in the moment.js official website, and you can see some standard APIs provided by moment.js. Here you can see an option to download those moment.js files. So I'm going to just click on this moment.js. So when I click this, you can see this it's complete library file code. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click Control S, and then I'm going to save it in my local system with the same name as moment.js. So now I have successfully downloaded my moment.js file, and now I'm going to just upload that moment.js file here directly. So I'm going to click add file in order to find my moment.js file where I have saved in my local system, and I'm going to upload it here. So now I have successfully uploaded the third-party library file, which is moment.js. Now let's see how to use this third-party library file within your script. So I'm going to go back to my Visual Studio Code. In my schedule script, I have to pass this moment.js file. So I know the path where I have uploaded that moment.js file, so which is almost similar to this path, which is an absolute path. I'm going to copy this, or even you can provide some relative path. Let's say the relative path will start like dot / and my file name is like moment.js. So I'm going to provide some relative path for this third-party library file, or even you can provide your own absolute path. So I'm going to just name it as moment.js and alias name as moment. So coming down to my execute entry point function, after this log.audit, I'm going to place few functions and I'm going to log those values. So let's say the code looks like I'm going to pass some date, which is 2016, and this is going to be the start date. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this or clone this using a moment API, which is clone API, and using the same moment.js API like add API, I'm going to add 1 week from the start date, and I'm going to finally log the start date which I initiated first, and then I'm going to log another date which is after 1 week by using this moment.js library files. So let's upload this code and to my NetSuite account, and let's test it out. So I have uploaded this file. Now let's go back to NetSuite account and execute our schedule script. Let's click edit on our script deployment, and let's click on save and execute to execute the updated code. I'm going to click refresh. So now it says complete load. So let's click on the deployment and click on execution log. And if I scroll down, you can see one more time the total and also the phone call record, which is a new internal ID. And if you clearly notice on this, the start date which I passed was 2016 January 1. And after the date, like after 1 week, the date looks like 2016-01-08. So this is how you can make use of third-party library files within your schedule script, and also you can make use of custom modules also. Now let's say we have been using standard modules like runtime module, custom module, and third-party library file. Now, if you clearly notice here, this custom module, the path which I provide as an absolute path, which is like I have to provide the structure like this, and I have to define it every time. And even this relative path, I have to do it like kind of relative path. Is there any option like in NetSuite, like where I can come use some kind of proper naming here, like our NetSuite users for runtime module, they provide it as n/runtime, or let's say record module, right? So can I make or create some kind of name like this for my custom modules and use it here? So it is possible. So in order to do that, we're gonna create some JSON file. Instead of JavaScript file, we're gonna create one JSON file. So in order to create a JSON file, I'm gonna right click on my custom module folder and click on this new file, and I'm gonna name it as config.json file, and I'm gonna click enter. So this is how I have just created my config.json file, which is currently empty. Within this config.json file, I'm going to start creating an object by opening two flower braces. Now I'm going to provide some key called as paths, and value will be an object again. So within this paths object, I'm going to provide a key. Let's say our library file 1. So let's say I'm going to name it as library 1, which is an alias name. And we already know the path of this library file. So I'm going to go back to my schedule script and copy this complete structure, which is custom module.js, and I'm going to place it here. So let me remove this double quotes and let's place this. So even I have this moment.js file, so I'm going to add a comma over there and I'm going to copy the same structure. So here I'm going to name it as moment and provide a name, so which is like moment.js. So I'm going to rename this to moment.js. So I'm going to upload this file to my NetSuite account to the same folder, which is custom folder, which is a custom module folder. So I have uploaded the file. Let's go back to NetSuite and let's have a look at the file cabinet first. So currently I have uploaded my config.json file. This is how my custom module folder looks like. Now let's go back to our Visual Studio Code and I'm going to go back to my schedule script. So we're going to remove this complete structure which I have provided. So I have to provide some proper name here. So I have already given the name as library 1. So I'm going to copy this, come back to my schedule script and start with some double quotes and place the value library 1. In the same way, I'm going to provide comma and add a double quote, and I'm going to copy this key which is moment and place it here. So alias name, I'm going to leave it as it is. Even this one, I'm going to leave it as it is. Now it looks at least something better. If you clearly notice, still we have not provided any reference to our config.json file. So in order to provide this config.json file reference, so NetSuite provides some doc tags called as NAmdConfig. So I'm going to click enter on the schedule script and place this tag called as @ in NAmdConfig. So I have already known where I have placed this file. So I'm going to provide some relative path for this. So which is like ./config.json. So I have a reference to my JSON file, which has all the library files, paths, and all those details. Now we have defined everything. So now let's upload this code to my NetSuite account and retest it one more time. So I have uploaded the file successfully. So I'm going to go back to NetSuite. I'm going to click on the deployment and remove all the logs and click edit. And now I'm going to click save and execute. So now the script has completed. So let's open the deployment and click on the execution log. Now we can see the same output. Just to confirm, I'm going to click on the script record again and just preview the script file which I have uploaded. And here I can clearly see that it is referring to my JSON file which has all the path configurations. So we have seen how to make use of or create your own custom modules and also the third-party library files within your scripts.